Therefore, members of the audience are reminded that these proceedings are being videotaped for current and future broadcast over the city's cable television channel. The first item on the agenda this evening is a motion to approve the minutes of the January 13th council meeting. Is there such a motion? Mr. Banger has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none, the question is, shall the minutes be adopted? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it, and the minutes are adopted. The next item on the agenda is a motion to deviate from the usual agenda for the purposes of having a public hearing. The Community Development Block Grant Call for Projects is an annual event that must be done to participate in the program. Therefore, is there a motion to deviate to have that public hearing this evening?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Diastis has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the council deviate for that purpose? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Therefore, I get to read this all word for word, because we have to read it word for word to have it count. The Cook County Bureau of Administration requires that the City of Rolling Meadows hold a public hearing regarding the use of Cook County Community Development Block Grant funds. This hearing is to solicit input from the community regarding future funding and program needs. Let the record show that this public hearing opened at 7:33 p.m. on Tuesday, January 27, 2015. The Cook County Community Development Block Grant Program funds a variety of needs, some of which include single-family rehabilitation, fair housing activities, housing counseling, affordable housing opportunities, infrastructure improvements, commercial rehabilitation, capital improvements, and public service activities. The City of Rolling Meadows encourages any interested parties or organizations to present any current or future request or ideas regarding the use of Cook County Community Development Block Grant Program funds. The City of Rolling Meadows City Council will be requested to approve any Community Development Block Grant project applications at a regularly scheduled meeting in late February or in March in 2015. The city is required to follow the established procedures of the Cook County Community Development Block Grant Program, including reading all of this stuff, regarding project submittal and established limitations on funding. The City of Rolling Meadows will also consider any necessary revisions to its 5-year plan on file with the Cook County Department of Planning and Development at a future City Council meeting. Therefore, is there anyone in the audience who specifically wishes to speak regarding the Cook County Community Development Block Grant Program? Seeing none, let the record show that this hearing closed at 7:34 p.m. on January 27th, 2015. That concludes the hearing for the Community Development Block Grant Program. There is no mayor's report this evening. Are there ward reports? Mr. Diastis of the 6th Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a resident contact me regarding Clark Street. He expressed a concern to me that the city had recommended to Cook County that they approve a Cook County Class C tax reduction. And it's my understanding that Cook County has granted that.
That is correct.
His concern was that he said he thought there was, that Clark Street needed to have businesses in the building in order to qualify for the Class C tax reduction. I'm not familiar with that, and was wondering if we could have staff possibly look into that and see, do they need to have businesses in there, and at what point in time they need to have it, so that we can then either adjust our recommendation or advise Cook County.
We certainly could do that, in particular because remembering back as best as I can to the process, I do believe there is a date at some point in the process where if it hasn't been developed, then Cook County can choose to withdraw the Class C exemption. But I don't know that anybody has that information at their fingertips, so I believe your suggestion of having them look for it is correct, to see if that's right. If that is true, it would be Cook County, since they're the grantor who removes it, and so I think depending on which portion of Rolling Meadows the resident lives in, the respective community commissioners county commissioners that cover the city might know more as well. So you might be able to direct them either to Tim Schneider or Greg Goslin, depending on Well, you're the 6th Ward, so that's probably Tim Schneider.
Okay.
So he could also ask Commissioner Schneider, I guess is his title. He could also ask their office for specifics as well. But I believe the staff wouldn't take too long to look that up. Mr. Diaz, is that satisfactory for now?
Absolutely, and they can give us a report at our next council meeting.
Fair enough.
Thank you, sir.
Other ward reports this evening. Mr. Prana of the 2nd Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a letter I received from one of my residents that lives on Vermont. I believe Mr. Vogt has a carbon copy of it. It concerns tree trimming that was done on that street, and it's the second communication. So Mr. Vogt and I will be discussing it further to see what we can do to make this resident happy, because he was not pleased by the way the trees were trimmed in his particular area. So I just want to let him know that we're still working on it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Understood. Further ward reports this evening. Seeing none, there were no signatures on the sign-in sheet this evening, so that concludes all of the report part of our meeting, and we can move to the council's business, starting with item A. This ordinance, if adopted, would allow a congregation of approximately 30 to 50 people to use a portion of the office building. I neglected to put the address in. I'm sorry. Thank you. At 4801 Emerson Avenue as their worship space. The congregation plans to have a worship service on Sunday mornings, as well as 2 smaller meetings on weeknights. The Plan Commission considered this request and unanimously recommended its approval. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance? Mr. Prana has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the ordinance be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Prana?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Biancher?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
7 in favor and none opposed. This ordinance is hereby declared passed. The second item on the agenda, if adopted, would release the development of a lot at 3251 South Brockway Street from the standard code requirements for curb, gutter, and sidewalk public improvements. While the code requires these improvements when parcels are developed, the home is being built on an existing block, the rest of which has no such improvements. The Plan Commission considered this request and unanimously recommended its approval. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance? Mr. Banger has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Mr. Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did have a phone call about this situation, and I just want to make sure that the resident who lives down the street felt that the street in front of this property right now is in really bad shape. I don't know whether that's true or not. I actually drove by, but I couldn't tell with the snow on the ground. So I guess the question I ask, I'm not against what we're doing tonight, but are we going to have fun? Is the developer going to be required to make the street really nice in front of that house?
Well, the only circumstance I can think of where that might happen is if in the construction of the home, the city feels that undue wear and tear has been put on the street. I haven't heard of any sort of complaint like that. And so if it is just poor condition of the street, that is the city's responsibility and does not fall on the homeowner. Does that answer the question you were asking?
It answers the question. What the resident was concerned about. He was under the impression that the street really was never completely repaired after the subdivision across the street was put in. That was his opinion. I'm not sure if that's true, but I'm just expressing an opinion that was passed on to me.
Well, I believe a concern like that could certainly be passed on. We can have folks, Mr. Vogt, I see you're reaching for the mic. Can you shed any light this evening, or should we allow some time?
Well, the subdivision across the street, if I'm not mistaken, was built at least 10 to 15 years ago, and Brockway Street itself was probably last resurfaced 15 to 20 years ago, so much of that is probably normal wear and tear, but certainly we evaluate our street conditions each year for our program, and we'll continue to do that in that area. We've also discussed the fact that there's still utility extensions in some places on some of the streets in that general area that has to be all part of the coordination, at least in staff opinion, needs to be addressed. But from a reaction at this point in terms of poor condition, I mean, there have been some areas that I'm aware of that we've done some patching on Brockway, and we'll continue to do so. And as needed in the upcoming years until it is scheduled for resurfacing.
Okay,
Really
thank
the
you.
best I can give you right now.
Just as long as we address the resident, that's fine. Thanks.
Mr. Vogt, I do realize this could be an unfair question coming out of nowhere, so if it is, please feel free to say so, and we'll allow some time. But do you have any idea where Brockway is in the years looking forward of the local roads improvement program, the local streets program? Any thoughts on that are on the top of your head?
Fair question, as long as you take it as a estimated
Understood.
answer, but, and again, given the level of funding for the street program is always variable and important, but probably it should be scheduled within the next 5 years, given
Okay.
its current condition.
Fair enough for now, at least. Thank you very much, sir. Is there further discussion of this ordinance? Seeing no further discussion, the question is, shall the ordinance be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Banjer?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prina?
Yes.
With 7 in favor and none opposed, this ordinance is hereby declared passed. Item C is next. This ordinance, if adopted, would create the position of fire marshal. Various codes, including the city's own, make reference to the decisions and authority of a specific fire marshal, but the official structure of the fire department contains no such position. The fire chief has filled this function when necessary, as have some other individuals depending on circumstances, but the intention behind this ordinance is to designate the department's shared training officer as the fire marshal once the position is officially created. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance? Mr. Prina has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the ordinance be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Judd?
No.
Banjer?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prina?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
With 6 in favor and 1 opposed, this ordinance is hereby declared passed. The final item that's in for second reading this evening is item D. This ordinance, if adopted, would create a new requirement in development cases like the one that was just discussed under item B. In cases where public improvements may not be practical at the time of the development, circumstances may mean that the public improvements will be undertaken at some future date. In such cases, developers can still be released from the requirements to provide the public improvements at the time of the development, but would now be required to deposit funds into escrow with the city to be used for projected future improvements. If after 10 years the projected developments have neither been undertaken nor formally planned by the city, the funds could be released to the property owners. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance? Mr. Banjer has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the ordinance be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Banjer?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prina?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
With 7 in favor and none opposed, this ordinance is hereby declared passed. That concludes all of the ordinances that are in for second reading this evening. There are 2 ordinances on a consent agenda for first reading. Would any alderman like either of those ordinances removed from the consent agenda? Seeing no request, the chair asks unanimous consent that items E and F be considered as one motion. Is there any objection? Hearing none, such a motion would be in order. Is there a motion to to send both ordinances forward for second reading? Mr. Diastis has made the motion, and it has been seconded. We do these without discussion. Therefore, the question is, shall both of these items be moved forward by the clerk for second reading? Item E would amend the ordinance regarding trespass that was passed by the council late last year. And item D would amend the code for second division vehicles. It would allow a police procedure that would allow residents with commercial vehicles to attempt to get permission to park them at their homes. The question is, shall both of those ordinances be moved forward for second reading? The clerk will please call the roll.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prina?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Banjer?
Yes.
With 7 in favor and none opposed, the clerk will please move both of those items forward for second reading. The next item is the warrant as prepared by the Finance Department, the document that releases all of the funds expended by the city from the period from January 7th through January 21st. The amount for approval is nearly $1.2 million, roughly half of which is related to the payroll. Is there a motion to approve the warrant as prepared by the Finance Department? Mrs. Majikis has made the motion, and there's a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the warrant be approved? The clerk will please call the roll.
Veenbos,
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Prina,
Yes.
Majikis.
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Biancher.
Yes.
Diestis.
Yes.
With 7 in favor and none opposed, the warrant is approved. That brings the council to the only resolution that is in this evening. It's Resolution H. This resolution, if adopted, would approve an intergovernmental agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation for Phase 1 engineering for the proposed bike path connection along Euclid Road. At the last meeting of 2014, the council approved an intergovernmental agreement with Arlington Heights for this project, and this ordinance would connect the city in similar fashion to the Illinois Department of Transportation for this project. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Diastis has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Mr. Diastis.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. A resident had contacted me about this one and wanted to know what our cost of this would be. And I see here it's $5,294.68.
For this particular item, that's correct.
Right. So I just wanted to let that resident know that $5,300 is our cost for the first phase of engineering.
That is correct. And as a rule of thumb, for anybody who's paying attention, the sharing of the costs usually is 80-20 with the local municipality. Since we're in this project with Arlington Heights, that 20% is being shared equally between the two of us, so they can pretty much knock a zero off of any dollar figure they see and arrive at the amount.
Right.
Is there further discussion of this resolution? Seeing none, the question is, shall the resolution be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Cannon,
No.
Prina,
Yes.
Majikis.
Yes.
Judd,
No.
Biancher.
Yes.
Diestis.
Yes.
Veenbos.
Yes.
With 5 in favor and 2 opposed, the resolution is adopted. That concludes all of the items that are in for regular business of the council. Under other business and reports, there are no appointments nor proclamations this evening. Does the city clerk have a report?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, then we go to community items of interest under staff reports with Mr. Krumstock.
Obviously, we have 3 that are in the packet. The first one that we'll keep on mentioning is the program that goes until February 13th, and that's between the city, Swank, and Elgin Recycling for holiday lights. If you can unbury them with some of the ice and snow, you can still put them in the boxes that are still outside of City Hall. The second one actually deals with the Rolling Meadows Fire Department is currently accepting applications for the position of firefighter/paramedic. That actually is utilized with the process of testing to create the eligibility list. If you want additional information, please visit the fire department website, and the information is there, or you can actually call the fire department at 847-397-3352. The fire chief would be more than happy to talk to anybody on that process. And then obviously, because it's the last meeting of the month, we have the items that are coming up from the other committees. And for February, Economic Development and the Zoning Board will not be meeting due to a lack of items. And the Plan Commission will be meeting on Tuesday, February 3rd at 7:30 p.m. They have one tentative item for public hearing, and that consists of an amendment to the restrictive covenant and variations to allow car sales and services not within a wholly enclosed building at 3975 Algonquin Road. It is from the president of Luxury Imports Auto, Nicholas Kim, who has made this request before the Plan Commission. With that, those are the topics that we have for this month.
Then we can proceed to the second item, new businesses. That's also Mr. Krumstock.
Obviously, you have the new businesses that are in front of you, and there are 7 of them. I would actually mention 2 of them by name. Adams Plastic at 1125 Carnegie Street. If the council remember, we did give them a 6B when they did move from the city of Chicago into this area for extensive work on that building. And then the other one, I'm going to refer to them as Romaine House Sechan. They just opened up last week. Highly recommended. I went there, and I know one alderman has already gone there. It's a little bit different, but again, it's also entertaining if you can sit at the front area when they cook to watch them do that. But with that, those are the new businesses that we have for this month.
Then the next item under staff reports is number 3, the Staff Traffic Advisory Report. Mr. Vogt.
Thank you, Mayor. Several items that have been discussed at the most recent meeting a few weeks ago in January, one being the Rolling Meadows High School traffic issues in the proposed bus lane that the school district is looking to undertake. A public information meeting for the neighborhood was held last Tuesday night. Got some good comments and questions from the neighborhood, and the school district has indicated they're going to proceed with this project and should complete the design engineering soon for the city to review. Second item is kind of a follow-up from aldermanic question late in 2014 regarding the Lexington Townhomes development, the intersection at Kirchhoff and Library, and how that functions. The city engineer went back and looked at the traffic report provided by the developer's engineer, looked at got the traffic counts. It's their opinion, the city engineer that is, that there will not be any adverse impacts as a result of the additional traffic, given that there's a low volume there already from both Library Road and the shopping center. Fox Lane, Cottonwood Park, speeding concern from a resident. The police department has handled that internally with no further action necessary by the committee. Campbell Street School Drive intersection. This was a resident inquiry request regarding the stop sign visibility there at that four-way intersection. Public Works Department will check and handle that internally. Industrial Avenue, we have a request for a bike path consideration to be established. At this point, we don't know if that desire is off-street, on-street, but our city engineer will evaluate both. Obviously, an on-street would be preferred in terms of costs, but we have to check and make sure there's adequate width, check the number of driveways, et cetera. So that'll come back to the committee at a future date for consideration, see where we go with that one. Resident request complaint regarding the Arbor Drive curve just south of the office there. Police Department prepared a crash study report that's been given to the engineer. The city engineer is currently reviewing that, and we expect a further discussion at the February meeting with regards to what should be done there, whether guardrail is warranted, whether signage is an interim option at this point. So that'll be on next month's meeting and report. Lastly, the intersection of Central Road with Linden Lane, just east of the high school, was a request for a consideration of more permanent and better pedestrian crossing signage. We will consider that at a future meeting for possible implementation of improvements in the spring of 2015. So that's the activities and the discussion items from the Traffic Committee for January.
Then item 4 is an update on the 60th anniversary. The liaison to that committee is Ms. Cezak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and residents watching this broadcast. Please join the city and be part of the city's 60th celebration, which includes these upcoming programs and events. Rolling Meadows businesses and residents can order a customized streetlight banner and see their name in lights throughout the year. The banners will be displayed on Kirchhoff and Algonquin roads until the end of 2015. Once taken down, all sponsors will have the opportunity to keep their personalized banner up for years to come. At this time, we have sold about 30 banners. Orders are due next Thursday, February 5th, and anyone interested can find the order form on our website under the 60th Celebration tab, or stop by City Hall for an order form. We have a birthday party coming up on February 26th, and that's the city's actual day of incorporation 60 years ago. We are celebrating with a citywide birthday party on Thursday, February 26th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. This party will be at the Park District's Community Center, 3705 Pheasant Drive, with cake and light refreshments served. Highlights of the party will include an honor ceremony for the city's 60-year residents and businesses, founding family members, military veterans, local legislators, and city and park district officials. Students from Carl Sandburg Junior High will do a pre-event performance at 6 p.m., and the Carl Sandburg Junior High Orchestra will play at 6:30. The city will also announce and award the winning student designer of the 2015 vehicle sticker. Once again, this party is open to the public, so we hope to see you there. Other planned events for the 2015 year include St. Patrick's Day dinner on Saturday, March 14th at the Community Center. Please see a member of the Rotary Club for tickets and information. Fred Vogt is the city's Rotarian. Ice cream social on Saturday, May 30th at the Community Center Playground. A family tailgating party on Saturday, July 18th at the Community Center parking lot. And our annual tree lighting on December 3rd, spiced up this year with fireworks and a spaghetti dinner at the firehouse. Please stay in touch with the city's website and the community news and views for more updates on the 60th events throughout the year.
Then that brings us to the final item under city staff reports, purchase order disclosures over $2,500. Ms. Gallagher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are 3 for council review. Thank you.
Then with that concluding the other business and reports, are there matters not on the agenda this evening? Seeing none, there is a request that the council go into closed session to discuss personnel. That falls under subsection C1 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. It does require a formal motion and a roll call vote. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel? Mr. Banger has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the council enter closed session? The clerk will please call the roll.
Prana?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Baner?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
With 7 in favor and none opposed, the council will now enter closed session. Members of the audience and of the press are advised that we do not expect to take any action upon returning to open session.
Here, I go back.